Hello and welcome to the Street or Track shop. Here we have our 66 Mustang with our full floating 9-inch rear end system installed. And what we're going to go over today is just assembling the hub and rotor assembly on the end. As you can see, it's totally different than a stock type rear end housing in that we have this huge CNC machined TIG welded snout on the end, which basically mimics a giant version of a front spindle. And the beauty in this is that it runs on the hub that fits over here has tapered roller bearings, just like the front hub would have. And what that does is, once we lock all this down, and you'll see that in a second, is it actually stops the hub from moving side to side and causing piston and pad knockback when you're cornering hard. Don't forget, the original 9-inch and 8-inch housings were developed many years ago for cars that ran skinny bias ply tires. Now we're running huge sticky radials and slick tires, putting enormous cornering loads and side loads on the square stock type bearings. So with the beauty of this, we're going to eliminate that. And as you'll see, there's also a neat feature with the axle. The axle no longer carries any weight of the car. All it does is provide drive. So that's a nice safety feature. So we're going to go ahead here and install the rotor assembly. It's basically a hub, CNC turned hub, with the races already pre-installed and the rotor adapter and the rotor already bolted on there, as you can see. There's an inner seal just like the front hub would have, and we've already packed and installed the inner bearing there. So what we're going to do, just going to slip this over the snout here, push that on like that. Okay, just seat that there for a sec. What we're going to now do is put the outer bearing in. Just seat that in here. Like so. Then we have a keyed washer, which is just like the front wheels. And what it does is it keys into a little slot, a keyway in the snout of the axle there. Over that goes a nut. It's just an aluminum hex nut. We have a special socket that we supply so you can tighten this down. This is basically just like the nut on the front spindle also. So we would spin this on with our hands and use the socket to tighten this down. Okay, that's far enough now. We'll just get the socket ready for this. You can see it's just a big machined CNC machined aluminum socket that we have. And we'll just spin this on. What you want to do is torque this down to 45 foot-pounds, give it a spin, and then just back it off a tad, just so we get things set here. Okay. Alright, we'll back it off just a hair. The rotor there. Okay, then we have a little lock ring here. This basically replaces the castle nut and car pin in the front, like the front would use. And what we have here is just some little holes in that nut where we can run in just some socket head screws that basically replace the car pin. So this basically locks that nut into position to stop it from backing off. Okay, we'll just tighten these up when we get them run in. can see, that works quite well. It's on there now, it's not going to move side to side. Okay, now we can go ahead and install the caliper. This basically mounts on the pre-installed bracket that's welded to the housing on the back side here. We can put this in any position that you like, but this usually works well for our 3-link system, this position, and also leaf sprung cars, we can put it on there for that. There we go. Okay, these we will torque later, and these bolts we supply are already pre-drilled for safety wire. So we'll safety wire that up afterwards. Okay, we'll give that a little tighten with the Allen for now. Okay, like I said, we'll come back and torque those, safety wire that when they're finished here. Okay, so there's the caliper installed. Now we want to go ahead and install the axle. And as you can see here, the axle is a really simple axle. All it is a axle with splines on each end. There's no flange that your rotor would attach to, because obviously this is a totally different system. And here we have the installation tool, which is just basically a tool just to hold the axle. You want to be careful when you install this on the inside tube here, because on the inside tube right near the third member we install a tube seal, which basically keeps all the gear oil in the center section. So there we can feel it right there. You want to use the tool now to, there we go, just push it through. That stops the gear oil from running down the tubes and washing out your wheel bearing grease. So there we go, we're through the tube. And what we'll do is we'll just leave it there for now, and we'll use the drive plate to push that in when we're done here, because what we want to do now is liberally grease the splines on the end of the axle, because that will mesh with the drive plate. So we'll get some nice, this is just wheel bearing grease, high temp wheel bearing grease. We'll get that nice and coated there. Alright, next comes the drive plate. Now all this is just a plate to mesh with the outside point of the axle and then slip over the studs, and this transfers the drive from the center section through the axle into the drive plate and turns the wheels, turns the hub and the wheels via the studs. So it's real simple. We just want to slip this over the studs. Actually what we'll do is we'll pull this out slightly, mesh the drive plate with the splines, then use the drive plate to turn the axle, key the axle in with the center section. There we go, push that in, and it's got some little countersunk socket cap screws that will go in here, and just fasten that down. Just these little guys go in here, and this is the face now that your wheel would mount to. When you give us that dimension to order this, this is the wheel mounting face, this face right here. So this would determine the whole width. We can build these systems to varying widths, so you can make it adjustable if you've done some modifications to your car, or if you don't know what you want and you just want to have a stocked width rear end, then obviously let us know and we can figure that out. And this is a little dust cap cover, and what's neat about this is if you do break an axle, you just take this plate off here and you can pull the whole axle out without removing any of this stuff. Okay, so we'll go ahead and torque these again when we do the caliper bolts. But there you have it, that's pretty much it. So we would repeat on the other side, put the wheels on, and we're ready to go.